listening to The Creative Download, a podcast to inspire and encourage others to live in the fullness of their creativity.
Hey everyone.
Hey guys.
Welcome back to the Creative Download. We have a really fun guest today, Jody Friedman. And so welcome back. We are at season 2, episode 8. And again, thank you for coming back and listening to us. And for those of you all over the world, we're so excited you're listening and watching. And we will start off. Actually, our topic today is going to be envisioning your dreams and talking about Jody's concept of identity alignment, which is really exciting. And he's one of our music coaches, and we'll get into that in a little bit more with his bio. But Chelsea, tell us what you're working on creatively.
So of course, you know this because it's our TV series we're working on, but finishing up the third draft of our second version of our TV pilot. So that's really fun. That feels really good. And then working on these 2 songs. I mentioned them before, Sinking Under and Sound of the Stars. 2 fairly different pieces, which is kind of fun. And just trying to kind of figure out, the last bit of need on them to make them really stand out and pop and be what I need them to be and want them to be. So yeah. What about you, Christy?
So good. Well, Jody, let's let you go first.
Oh, yeah.
I'll end it.
Let's
go ahead, Jody. What are you working on?
Creatively?
Yes.
Everything.
Creatively and whatever else you want.
Everything's creative. That's
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Good answer.
If you're not creating, what are you doing?
Exactly. Because we ask all the time.
Yeah, unless it's like metadata or Excel work or something. There's not a lot of creativity in that. But there is to some regard now, if you're doing coding and, formulas, you got to get creative.
Yeah.
What am I working on? Lately, it has been about working a bit less and designing my life in a way that it's really unconditioning myself to from how I've operated for many, many, many years.
Yeah.
This has been a work in progress. This has been probably like a 6-year project, but the more intentional I've been about it, there have been moments recently where I've actually stepped back and looked at my life and realized that I accomplished what I was trying to do. So I would say creatively rewiring my brain to see my life in a different perspective.
I love that. That's huge.
It is huge. And you're going to talk more about what you're doing in this show around that, I'm assuming too. So
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and like Chelsea said, we're doing this TV series right now, which is super exciting. And this has been in the works in our brains separately for a long time. And then we came together and we're like, oh my God, we're supposed to do this together. And then, so I've been working on my position in this. Like Chelsea's the actual writer. She's gone to get her master's degree in writing for film and television. And I'm coming in as a consultant, and I'm coming in as the person that is the tone, make sure we're on the tone. So I was working on what we call a tone Bible, which is what I'd never known that in TV you have that, but I have learned that this week. So I've been working on that. Went back to my vocal coach, had my vocal lesson today, because I think I'm going to just say I probably will need a vocal coach the rest of my life.
Just nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, just to keep learning. He told me something today. I'm like, really? Okay, I thought I knew that. Prosody. He was trying to.
Oh, prosody.
Well, I know it, but I don't always hear it in myself, right? So he's pointing that out. So that was super
I don't know that
cool.
term. What does prosody mean?
I love prosody. It's everything.
What does that mean?
Yeah, can you explain it, Jody? Because I try to explain it, and I don't know if I do as good of a job as I think you would. Because this is an expertise of yours.
Yes.
Well, vocal prosody is how somebody delivers and emphasizes words when they're singing. When we're speaking, we naturally emphasize certain syllables on certain words, like the word emphasize. You say
Mhm.
emphasize, you don't say emphasize
Right.
or emphasize, it's emphasize. So the emphasis is on the M, right? So when you sing it, it should be the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people, they tweak their prosody to match their melody, and
Mm-hmm.
prosody needs to come first. In other words, you should tweak your melody to fit your prosody. And the thing that separates the professional vocalists, granted they have those vocal coaches in the studio with them while they're tracking,
Mm-hmm.
from amateur vocalists is prosody.
I did
That's
not
the
realize
biggest
there's a
separator.
That
That's
Yeah.
is such
cool.
a great explanation. Thank you.
Yeah, and I didn't
Because
know there was I didn't realize the term for it. So
Now
that's
you won't be able to
fantastic.
unhear it. When you hear a song and you kind of tilt your head like, huh, something feels off about that.
Oh yeah.
It's like, and if it's not the tone, obviously tone matters.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's likely the prosody is off.
Yeah, I
yeah.
didn't realize that. Now I know what to actually say when I'm like, why don't I like, because I do that all the time. I'm like, why don't I like this or that?
And
You
there's
got it.
people like Taylor Swift, she can get away with it.
It's
Like
true.
there are people at that level that their
We
prosody's
just,
off, but it
yeah,
doesn't matter because you're going to be a fan regardless because the melody sounds good and it's Taylor Swift.
yeah.
So
We're willing to forgive a lot of
yeah,
things for people like
yeah,
And I like that you say that, professional singers may have a vocal coach in the booth with them because it's like
yeah.
true.
that it's so good to have that ear. And I really appreciate who I see. His name's Matt. He's here in San Diego, and he's very honest with me, which is like not always easy to take.
Yeah.
But I am there to learn. So, all right, well, that's what we're all working on. So I want to introduce you formally, Jody. And I think your bio is just so amazing. And I feel so honored to have you as a music coach because we've learned a lot about sync through you but you have a
So
much
much.
bigger life going on outside of what we do with you. So Jody is an
Yeah.
entrepreneur, keynote speaker, music supervisor who has spent more than 2 decades working in the entertainment industry on major television franchises, including The Bachelor. He has also produced a feature film, Ethan Bloom, and built multiple seven-figure businesses in entertainment and coaching. And it's through his keynote and transformational work, Wreck the Room, which is new, that you've been talking to us a little bit about. Jody helps high achievers recognize when the identity that created their success no longer aligned with who they are becoming. His core message is simple. Success without identity alignment doesn't sustain. And I loved that. Got
Yes.
so excited when I saw that. And, Jody, I was kind of sent to you. I don't know if I've ever told you this, but Judy Stakey, who I was working with, I did her retreat and I told her how much I really was interested in sync. And she's like, well, then you need to go to Jody because he's the one that knows what's going on with that. So that's how I came to you. And then Chelsea eventually joined as well. So we do sync
Well, I
time.
joined because of you, Christy. So thank you.
Yeah, I was like, you really need to come over here and do this because you're going to be so good at it. But so I really believe, and I'm going to launch into the discussion with this. Like my experience has been that when I have a dream, which we're going to talk about the topic, right? Envisioning your dreams and identity alignment, which go together.
Yeah.
Sometimes the dream can feel so far out and like it's hard to like see yourself there. And my experience has been that when I really see something and I want it, and it's meant for me. It's not just that I want it. It's really
Yeah.
meant for me. The teachers start showing up. And my job
Yeah.
is to say yes to them.
Yeah,
when
the
they show up.
teachers, the wise guides, the
Yeah, that say
mentors.
this is the direction. This is where you go. And I think Jody, you're like one of my
Yeah.
teachers. So it's like you're one of the people that has shown up and I don't always know where the teacher is going to take me.
Right.
Because that is a trick because sometimes I think the teacher is going to take me in this direction and actually they're not. They're like, oh, I'll go over there, which is what Judy actually did, right?
Yeah.
That was exactly it. So
Yeah.
so let's talk about this success that did not fix it. It didn't fix it, right? It doesn't fix it. Tell us what you mean about that, and we can get into dreams too.
Sure. Well, first off, I love Judy.
Yes.
She's my songwriting mentor. I refer to her as that always.
Hmm.
She's a dear friend and was very lucky to be part of her very first group when she
Yeah.
left Warner Chapel. And there were six of us at her house in Laurel Canyon, and we did the thing, and I experienced the same thing. I went in thinking, she's going to sit down and teach us how to write songs.
Yeah.
And she did, but her methodology was not at all what I expected,
Yeah.
and it changed my life. So that's amazing, and thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Love her.
Dreams and alignment and success that no longer fits. So
Mhm.
this concept of wreck the room, it begins in childhood
Yeah.
for everybody. I mean, that's when our identities are first formed.
Mhm.
And these experiences that happen to us, whatever those experiences might be, good and bad. Some
Mhm.
people experience big traumas. Some people experience micro traumas. An
Mhm.
example of a micro trauma would be someone telling you to shut up. It happens, right? People say the word. But if you hear it enough, that's a micro trauma that teaches you you're not safe to speak up.
Yeah.
It's not safe to speak up, right? And that becomes part of the room you start creating for yourself. That becomes a brick that you lay down. I'm not safe sharing my thoughts,
Mm.
or I have to edit myself before I speak.
Mm.
And there's a variety of, that's just one example. Another, positive experience would be getting good grades in school. It's a good thing. You're praised for those grades. You come home, Mom, Dad, I got an A. Awesome job. We're going out for ice cream, right?
Mhm.
So you equate performance and achievement with love and value.
Yeah.
It may not be the truth, but it's what you start to believe, or some people start to believe.
Mhm.
So that becomes a brick that you lay down for a room that you start building. And these rooms evolve over time. They become pieces of so many experiences and so many bricks that we build to survive in as human beings,
Yeah.
especially in that time in our life when we're children and we're figuring out what we're going through. And our coaches are telling us something, and our teachers are telling us one thing, and our parents are telling us another. And we're looking at all these grown-ups, and our friends are telling us and informing us on who we are as well. And we're trying to figure out, who the heck am I? Who do I identify as? What's important to me, right? So to survive we build these rooms and we carry them into adulthood.
Mhm.
And there is a stat around this that 85% of adults are living in identities that they built to survive in as
Mm.
children. 85%.
That's insane. That's an insane amount.
Mhm.
It really is. It means, and there's a reason for this, because when you build a room to survive in, like any type of survival, it's going to work. It's going to protect you. It's going to serve you, and it could allow you to be successful. It may allow you to live your dream life, start a
Mhm.
family, build a house if that's what you want to do. Get a house, white picket fence, whatever it is that you want to do. Your room has allowed you to do that. But
Mhm.
there comes a point where that room no longer serves you because you built it so long ago.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And you just settled into that room and started thinking and believing this is just how it is. And that's where that disconnect happens.
Yeah.
And so the part of my process is recognizing how that room was built, which is what we're speaking about right now.
Yeah.
Recognizing the room. What built the room? What can we name it? Because naming something has power.
Yes.
um, Exposing the lie that's tied to the room, such as the one I shared. If I'm only valued if I'm achieving, right? The lie would be, I'm loved and valued for who I am, not what I do.
I love that.
Actually, sorry, that's the truth. That's the truth. I said
I
that's the
was gonna
lie.
say, wait.
Yeah.
That's the truth. The lie is I'm only loved for
Yeah.
performing and achieving, and the shadow side is the
Yeah.
Mhm.
truth to that lie. And every room has a lie tied to it. And
Yes.
exposing that lie and revealing what's on the shadow side allows you to settle and recognize, okay, I know that's the truth. Obviously, that's the truth. And when you see that for the first time, I mean, it's so dumb to say out every time I say it out loud, like, I really believed that love and value was tied to achievement. It's just
Oh, I
so,
can, yeah.
but it becomes so conditioned that you forget that that's what you believe, because it's
Yeah.
so deep in the recesses of your brain, these lies that you tell yourself to survive in. Your
Mhm.
brain has protected that So bringing it up to the surface, that's the
Yeah.
recognize it
Well,
part.
so I was a school teacher and before, so I saw that. Like I
Cool.
really recognized that as a school teacher. And I'm curious, Jody, because you're doing this work, what like because I agree with you. The child we build all this in our childhood, and we're powerless, right, when we're children because we're kind of trapped with whatever we've landed into, right, in that moment. But as adults, we're not. And so it's so I think important to be able to have that ability to do what you're saying. My experience, this is why I related so much to the video you did with about Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
Because so a lot of people, myself included, don't look there until you have to. It's
Yeah.
like, it's not something that you know, I got sober very young. I'll just say that out for I was 23 years old. It was 1994. And I had been I didn't wasn't getting the good grades. I wasn't I was and I came from that alcoholic family and I came from a lot of that and it was miserable. And I by 23 was like I need a new way of life. And
Hmm.
that's pretty miraculous now when I look at it, but also kind of sad that by 23 I'm like already ready, like it's not working.
Oh, I
Like,
don't think that's sad at all. Gosh,
No.
most people wait so long to recognize that and then wreck it.
yeah,
So
that's true.
you
Yeah,
had a head start.
I
True.
did. I
Yeah.
did. And but I recognize that I would not have done that
Yeah.
without having a lot of my back against the wall. I'm not getting anywhere. I'm failing out of college. I was actually working at a treatment center when I got sober, which I think is actually
Wow.
quite ironic. So I was living a double life, but I wasn't doing what Robert Downey Jr. was doing, going to jail and all that stuff. But and I say that out loud because a lot of times when people hear about people getting sober, they go down the route that going to jail and their DUIs. I didn't have any of that, but I was
Hmm.
so miserable on the path I was on because I wasn't in my room. I was in a room that someone else built for me,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is kind of what you're talking about when we tell our kids, like, okay, this is your direction. I wanted to be a
I
dancer,
know.
right?
Yeah.
And my mom was like, you're not gonna make any money as a dancer. I'm like, I can be J Lo. I know I can be, but she's like, no, you're gonna be a school teacher.
Oh,
So it's like
Yeah.
I feel like because we've talked about this before, I've kind of wrecked my rooms as I've gone because I've been sober for 32 years. It's like
Yeah.
you can't stay awake like that, at least for someone like me, without having to make lots of changes. So the question about that is, does everybody have to hit that kind of a bottom, do you think, to like wreck the room? Or
No, no. Well, that is exactly why I built the program.
okay,
So
cool.
what if you didn't have to wait to have a breakdown, to have a breakthrough?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
the thing about the program. There's no, when I was building this, um, I was building it with this woman, and she's a PhD in education, and she's built many programs for other coaches, some very successful coaches. And I don't want to reveal her name out of privacy for her, but when we were building it, we were going through it. And, with anything you try that's new, I was having some imposter syndrome. Like, I don't
mm,
know, like, can I really teach this and that? And she stopped like halfway through phase one, which is to recognize it. And she's like going through it, said, Jody, you have to release this. There's nobody doing this. I said, really? But what about this person and that person? They're like, completely different, completely different. Nobody is doing this. So that was a moment for me
Yeah.
that I realized that this is much bigger than me. I'm the conduit. I'm the guide. I can take people through the program. I can be there to bounce ideas off of. Um, Obviously, I built it. It's effective. It's extremely effective. But that was the purpose. It was so people don't have to wait for the breakdown to happen.
Right.
mhm,
And that's what most people do. They wait for something to really rattle the foundation
Yeah.
mhm.
before for being forced to take action. And some people can't handle it
That's the
when that
thing, I think.
happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this
And
is
then
trying
they
to get
say,
ahead of that.
I love that. I had I've told Christy before, and I've told my story a little bit about on here, but um I had my first kind of breakdown moment after so I was 18. I had like success, good grades. I was the goody two shoes. I had a diving scholarship, to go to a D1 school, right? So I had everything going.
Yeah.
And I ended up coming down with mono
Mm.
in February of my senior year, right after I won state
Oh,
championship.
wow.
My body and I already dealt with anxiety like most of my childhood, which we know how much that comes from, different micro traumas and stuff. And the weird part is a lot of this was created by myself, by me, not even so much my mom or, like I was raised by a single mom.
Yeah.
So fast forward to now, that was a year of 9/11 as well.
Mm.
I'm away from college, away from home, still dealing with the side effects of mono, which then turned into chronic fatigue, but we didn't really know at the time.
Wow.
Everything that I had worked my ass off for broke, and I'm away from my home. And and then all of a sudden our country, like everything was going against me. So I ended up quitting. I left school like in October. Dropped out. I've never dropped out of anything like that. I've never quit anything like that. And I got home and I remember there was 3 different days where I broke down, and I really didn't understand it. I knew it was related to feeling like I failed,
Yeah.
but it was so much deeper than that,
Mhm.
and it's taken years to get to that point where it was like, that's because your identity was all here. So this is like near and dear to my heart for sure. So
Mhm.
it's brutal when you have
Yeah.
those.
Yeah. It's, when you go through, I mean, we spoke about recognize it, and part of that after exposing the lie
Hmm.
is designing that new room you want to be in, which I imagine, and what usually happens when you reach a breakdown point, you have two paths. You
Mhm.
either go further down the path
Oh,
of despair
Yeah.
or you rebuild.
yeah.
And I mean, Robert, as a great example, he
Mhm.
went further down the path of despair for a while there,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he just kept kind of punishing himself and punishing himself until he decided to stop. And his comeback was incredible, right? Like
So
that's
good.
the ultimate comeback story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
You talk about suffering too, like
yeah.
in I think and that part of suffering is like can be a real big part of I know it's a part of my culture growing up. I come from like a military teacher family. Those people suffer. I mean, it's like you just like you go out and suffer and there and talk a little bit
Like you
about
accept
that.
the suffering. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Like you just
like
feel
if
like
you're not
this is what it is.
suffering, if you're not like being of
Oh,
service and
yes.
suffering, you're not actually like, I don't know, it's this weird thing. I hear other people talk about this too. And when
Mhm.
it
Hmm.
pertains to like art, like living your dreams in art,
Mm.
there's so
Yeah. The
much in that
suffering artist.
suffering
Yeah.
that talk a little bit about that because I connected with that too as far as because yeah, I think you talk about that in that video with Robert Downey Jr. Like this doesn't mean you have to suffer to wreck the room, correct?
No,
Like
of course not. No, it's a choice. It's
yeah,
like the starving artist. I hate that
I
phrase.
know.
I'm
Yeah.
a starving artist.
Hate it.
And I wear it like a proud badge. I'm a starving artist. And then there's
Mhm.
people who they give into it like we just love supporting starving artists.
Yeah. It's true.
Like you can be an artist and not starve. That
Yeah,
is a choice you make as an artist. And if you're going to lean into that as your identity, if you believe that to be an artist, and I'm guilty of this
yeah,
when I was, I'm saying this because I lived through it. When I was trying to get signed to a record label, when I was doing my gigs and trying to record my demo and afford to record my demo, I was a starving artist. But I wasn't. I just assumed the identity of this is just what you do. This
Hmm.
is what everybody does until they're signed. You starve. You go
Right.
out in the streets and you ask for tips and you put the flyers on the post and play the background noise in the bar. It's like that's a choice. So you don't have to suffer to be an artist. I
Hmm.
do think there's a certain it's an interesting thing because some of the best artistry, some of the best writing, some of the best music does come from artists who, I hate to say it, but they had mental disorders,
Right.
right? I mean, think about some of the greatest artists of our generation that are dead.
Mm-hmm.
Kurt Cobain, um,
Whitney Houston.
Whitney Houston,
Yeah.
Chris Farley,
Oh
um,
God, yes. Oh,
what's
Chris
his name now?
Cornell.
Chris Cornell, thank you.
Robin Williams.
Robin Williams, Prince, although
Yeah.
that was a little different, the way it came about, but there's someone else I'm missing there, but you get my point. You get my
Mm-hmm.
point. There's some of the most amazing art, but of course there are also plenty of artists that are still living that did not suffer, at least as far as we know, or to that extent. Paul McCartney is a great example.
Yeah.
Paul McCartney he's still with us, one of the
Mm-hmm.
greatest artists of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well, you talk
so
about, yeah, you talk about the authenticity,
yeah,
like in that identity alignment. And I think I'm glad you brought up, that because I think when we are successful,
yeah,
we can put on an image of our identity, and
mm,
then there's the real identity.
yeah. And
And
some people fake the suffering too
It's
right,
so
to
true.
be an artist.
I
yeah,
can't
They
stand that
fake
when
it.
I
They
feel
put on that mask. Sorry to cut you off, but
yeah, no, that's okay. We do
you
that
know,
all the time on our show, by the way. We're always like jumping in.
yeah.
Yeah, they like fake that they're suffering because if they're not, then they're not real. Is that kind of,
Then they're not going to be respected by their community as a real artist. Yeah.
well, yeah, I guess, yeah.
If you're not suffering or you're not dark or you're not I don't know, you don't have a drug problem or you don't drink or
your parents
what.
didn't divorce, leave you.
Yeah, like if you
Yeah,
don't have that stuff, you're not a real artist.
right.
I experience this all the time with my talking to colleagues, and
Huh.
like they're excited about this band they met and they give me all the reasons and they describe them like sounds like a lot of fun hanging out with that person. That's what I'm thinking, like okay, so they're talented. Cool, send me the music.
Yeah.
But they seek it out. Um,
Yeah.
The
and
drama.
it's the drama and
Yeah,
the suffering.
the suffering. Yep.
And it's a real shame because there are many artists that they're very talented
Mm-hmm.
that, they're not suffering.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're loving life. They're living
Mhm.
their best life. They're
Yeah.
creating music or painting or writing screenplays
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and they love what they do, but they don't suffer.
Mm-hmm.
They get joy out of life. It's like the news. The news focuses on
Oh,
negativity.
Yeah.
yeah.
So people are drawn to it.
Right.
They don't focus on the little squirrel riding the um I say this because at headline news we'd show it at the end. It was like, and we're gonna finish today with, Jimmy the squirrel, and he was tied to the boat in a little jet ski and was riding around in the jet ski. It was
Yeah.
like their way of wrapping it up was, and we have some good news to share with you. It's
Yeah.
like, negative, 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 but here's this funny squirrel riding around in the jet ski.
Right.
Like, nobody wants to watch an hour of news just of good news.
Right.
No.
So, and it's the same with, I think it's just human nature.
Yeah.
People like drama.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah. And I had a question for you on so I know, a big part of the focus or seems to be, like you've made your success and whatever that looks like, that of course is different for everybody.
Yeah.
But what about, and then you realize, crap, like there's some rooms I've got to wreck, you know. What would you say about people that or two people that they haven't had the success and it's because they need to wreck the room,
Yeah.
to like to break out of that.
When you say they haven't had the success, what do you mean? In what way?
um okay, so which is a great question.
Because you started with success is different for everybody.
This is true. Okay, so well, maybe that's the first question then.
Yeah.
When you talk about somebody that's experienced success and but they can't continue because of where they're at, like what does that
They're
look
not
like?
aligned, right?
Got it.
In their
Yeah,
identity.
Yeah.
maybe that's a
Yeah.
better way.
So how do they recognize that?
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah.
Well, I think that I don't know. I was talking with somebody last night at a gathering, and she was telling me how much she just loves like math and Excel, and that's just her jam, man. She just loves it so much. So she's really aligned with her job, right? Because that's what
Okay.
she does.
Yeah.
She's in clearance, and it's all she does all day long, like spreadsheets and clearance and
Nice.
math. And like, good for you. That's awesome. Like
Fire
she
me in
knows
5 minutes, but yeah.
dream. That's her dream job, right? For me, that's misery.
Oh
Mhm.
Like,
yeah.
but for her, that's her dream job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that there are people who get into, especially in certain industries, probably in any industry, you get into that industry thinking, here's the end goal. And along the way, you have to do jobs that are a little bit out of alignment with that end goal.
Mhm.
And then along the way, by the time you're 10 to 15 years in, you still haven't hit that end goal, you start to feel a little burnt out in the industry. And maybe the target's shifted now because you've been doing something else and you found fulfillment in a part of that, and it pays the bills and it pays benefits, it has all the
Right.
stuff.
Mhm.
So then you find yourself in a place where I'm successful doing something, but it's not fully aligned with who I am because who I am stems from who I promised myself I would be. What I really want deep down is still something like what that end goal was.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not answering your question. I'm describing the
No, that
journey.
helps though. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, that helps set up the, kind of the people that you're talking about. Like that's yeah,
it's so
that's great.
common.
Yeah.
Well, I think the
Um,
identity alignment is what's so important, right? To understand that, because we talked about a little while ago on our podcast doing a values exercise.
mhm.
We're like, my mentor took me through a values exercise, and she told
Hmm.
me when I started living my life, everything, everything I did was in my values, because everybody has different values. She's like, my life totally changed. I'm
Yeah,
like, well, let's do the values exercise,
I love that.
like, and so I came up with like my top 5 values and I try to apply it in everything. This is how I've learned. It's like, so it's a method of trying to align with my identity, with what I do. And because for work, and I talk about this, I sell real estate,
Yeah,
I get exposed to all types of people.
of
And I
course.
don't want to work with everybody. I hate to say that, but that's one of the things that I learned about myself in doing this value exercise. My end result is I want to be able to pay the bills and there's some success. I work on a successful team, but I have some values now that well-being's my top one. If this is not good for my well-being, I'm not doing it. I don't care how much money it is.
Yeah,
That aligns with me. And it's just like, I think that I'm very like feeling oriented. So it's like, I feel like when you're in an identity alignment, you know it.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know it. But
Mhm.
it's like, it does kind of have to be, if you've never even talked about this, I don't know, some of our listeners might be like, well, maybe not thought of this. I don't know. Most of them that know me, we talk a lot about this kind of stuff. But I think you really know when you're in identity alignment, but you might not know that's what it is.
Yeah, you might
Yeah.
not be able to put words to it, but you can feel it.
Well, setting those values, I compare it to when you start a company or a business, you have a mission statement, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
And a manifesto, if you will. But how
Yeah.
many people actually sit down and take the time to write down their own manifesto, their own mission statement for their life and
Yeah.
how they live their life, which is
It's a good call.
more important than what you do for work. So,
Yeah.
Yes.
that's what you're saying. You have these values, this value, these 5 values that you've laid down. And I mean, a lot of coaches have that. They call them, the 5 non-negotiables or
Okay.
the
Yeah.
top three. I mean, but it's a thing. Like you need to set up what is important to you, and it's going to be different for everybody. And like in your example, you're going to encounter people that are misaligned with you. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean they're bad people. It just
Right.
means they're misaligned with your values, and they're
Mhm.
going to find their people. And
Right.
Yes.
there's nothing wrong with that. And I do think that
That's
ah,
correct. Yeah.
there's some sense of like, well, I should be accepting of all people. I think maybe that's been
Oh,
something that's
yeah.
been set up through culture or society or parents or I don't know.
Right.
But you can accept people. It doesn't mean you have to allow them into your world.
Yeah.
And that's a
Mhm.
very, very big difference.
Well, and I think in art, sales can be like that too. Like you have to just because you have to work with everybody if you're in sales. That's not true.
Yeah.
At least I'm not letting that be true for me if we're not aligned. And I think with art too, like, as a musician, you don't have to play, you don't have to do everything as, if I right now, I guess I'll apply it to now because Chelsea and I have been talking a lot more about our next steps on our pilot, right? And like what we're doing next. Pitching season is coming up this summer.
Yeah.
We're like, okay,
It's exciting. I want to hear about this, by the way. I don't
I
know.
know.
For sure.
Do it
Yeah,
during the.
we can
Yeah.
talk a little bit about it. We can't talk about what it is yet because it's still
Yeah.
like, we can't let that cat out of the bag. But
We'll talk with you about it then later.
yeah,
Though.
we'll talk about but it's I'm already forward thinking. So
Right.
like for like what kind of people do I want to work with? Because I think that's something I love about you, Jody, is that you really, really talk a lot about like being a good person and not being a jerk.
Yeah.
And like
I've
you
worked with a lot of jerks, and it's not
know,
fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
and in music, so when I was doing a lot of like playing live and I had opened up for some good bands, like small, but they're big now, like Xavier Rudd is really big. I opened up for him in San Diego and
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
but oh my God, the jerks I had to deal with, not the artists, but like the people I was working with, it was like you're kind of forced to doing that. And I also worked in there was a lot of there were 3 TV shows filmed in San Diego when I moved here, and I ended up getting paid to lay on the beach, because they needed extras. I just moved here. I'm like 25, and sure, and can you
Yeah.
rollerblade? Sure, I'll rollerblade, whatever.
Good gig.
Yeah, it was,
Right.
and they fed you, so I like made $200 a day, and in '97, that was a lot of money, and I got lunch, and one of the things I couldn't deal with was the way that they treated women.
Yeah.
And I quit acting. And I told myself, oh, when I'm 50, I'll do that when they won't bother me because they were bothered the young girls more. Well, that,
Yeah.
that's not true. But it's really like looking forward to, like, I'm a little scared to go back into that world. I'm a little scared because of my experience. So I'm really starting to like do this dream envision, right?
Yeah.
Where I'm seeing like, who are the people I want to work with? Oh, I want to work with people that they don't have jerks on the set. They're really they're conscious people. I'm like trying to build that and align my identity with the future because my past has a negative with that world.
Yeah.
It created
Maybe that's a room I need to wreck. I need to get rid of some
Well,
of those
that
bricks.
was, that it's changed. The industry's changed.
Yeah.
It has.
Yeah.
Good here.
As that, I've been on set in multiple facets as a parent of an actor. So as a
yeah.
parent, I've been able to sit back and observe and not have to work
Yeah.
while on set, and that's been really interesting. So it's
Yeah.
changed. It's definitely changed. There's always going to be, an occasional hothead,
Right.
but it seems that at least what I've seen, everybody knows they're a hothead. So
Yeah, it's true.
everyone's avoiding them. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's so and so.
Yeah.
Most people, that my experience has been on sets in particular. Most people are really happy to be there on
Yeah.
that day. They're just
Okay,
happy to be
good.
doing that job, working in that world. Like, yesterday I was up at Warner Brothers, and
Yeah.
after my meeting, there's the one Studio 9 or 10 was open, and nobody was in there.
Hmm.
The door was open. I went in, I walked around, I looked at the big giant, almost airport hangars, what they look like with the big,
Yeah.
hangars with the cables hanging down. They're all labeled to mount the lights. And there was a crew like building some, props for whatever show they're building props for. It was just really neat to walk in there, and
Yeah.
it's a fun environment. So yeah, I
Yeah.
would encourage you not to let that bad experience
Yeah.
influence the future because it's not the same, number one. Number two, you're not going to let yourself be treated like that
Oh no, it's true.
with who you are now
No.
compared to maybe who you were then.
Yeah,
So
it's a
Very
different
true.
story.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's one of the things that they drilled into us when I was in film school because it was like, don't be an ass. Be on, don't just be on time. You're there early. You stay late. You do what's asked of you. Like those kinds of things. I was like, all right, these are my people.
Yeah,
I was stoked.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
you said something earlier, Jody, that when we were talking about success and things like that, which was perfect. That was so helpful to kind of what you were describing and what you're looking at. So, let me see, I write down notes because
Yeah,
otherwise
you're
my
good.
ADHD, I will forget.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. So with Wreck the Room,
Yeah.
what is like, what, I mean, what's the outcome? What do you want people to walk away from
Mhm.
it with? I mean, obviously when we want to break down those rooms, but what does that look like? Maybe give an example of somebody or I don't know. What do you want to say on that?
I want people to walk away deeply transformed. And they're not going to be the same person when they leave the program than when they went in.
Yeah.
Um, and as a result, whenever you change who you are, your life's going to change. You might
Hmm.
be hanging out with different people, certain family members you may not talk to as much,
Yeah.
and there's certain risk and uncomfortability that comes with that. But that's what happens when you live in alignment with who you are. You align yourself with the people that align with you.
Yeah.
And, the people that are really close to you, they're going to be there. They're going to actually adapt to survive because they're your people, you
Right.
know.
They're not going anywhere.
No,
Yeah.
like that's and if they do, then it was meant to be
Right.
because
It's
that's
such
who you are.
and
Yeah.
it's such a beautiful thing to watch somebody become aligned with who they really are.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And like and even though it's hard, because I've done this, I've had to walk away from stuff. I walked away from a teaching career. I've done a lot of this change, and there has been loss, and I have had to let go of people in my family who were like not supportive.
Hmm.
But those who stuck with me, my husband, like I have some friends. I mean,
Yeah.
it's beautiful to watch someone become who they really are.
Hmm.
And to be able to say, like, I'm living my best life.
Hmm.
And, not necessarily, I'm living my best life and I don't have we're not produced yet. You know what I mean? It's like I said, we don't
Right.
have the TV show
Yeah.
produced yet.
Yeah, but you're doing the
We're
thing.
but
Yeah.
that's what I mean. It doesn't matter that if it's
Yeah.
produced, we're living our best life. I'm in
Yeah.
alignment with what we're doing. And that is a beautiful thing to watch and to experience. And I think if anybody's listening to this,
Hmm.
I love the fact that Jody, you offer something. First of all, I coach with you on In Sync Titans, which is all focused on learning the sync world. And we've talked about that a bit on our show.
Yeah.
And you're doing something even bigger than that, for people who are not necessarily in that lane. I feel like if you're an artist in general, like listening, or you're trying to get into your creativity, because we have people that listen to us that say, well, I'm not really creative. I just make jewelry over here. Or I just do this
And
on
it's
the side. I'm like, no,
beautiful.
wait
And
a
we're
second.
like,
Lies,
Yeah,
lies, lies,
right?
lies.
exactly.
Yeah.
And you are creative. And so if you're one of these people listening and you're in that limbo, like maybe check out, we'll put your link on, if that's okay, Jody, and people can check out your
Of
website.
course.
And because I think now take us into once you help someone get into their alignment,
Yeah.
their identity, then what? Like, is that like stepping in? Do you help like envisioning with their dreams? Is it about like feeling where you're going to be?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, there's about 128 lessons in the program.
Okay.
Some of them are you do it yourself. You go through, there's a workbook, there's some visuals, there's a video to go with every lesson. Some of them are pretty short. Some of them might be 2 to 4 minutes long. There's an
Mm,
occasional like 20 or 30-minute video, but often I'm explaining the concept and setting up what you're going to do. And then you're going and doing the work. And after you do the work, there might be some implementation depending on which stage you're at. So recognizing the room is, we talked about that, revealing the room, naming it, exposing the lie. And then at the end of recognize it, which is phase one, you start designing the new room
okay. That's the
that you
fun
want to
part.
be in.
That's the part I wanted to get to. Yeah. Designing the new room.
This is only phase one.
Okay.
So at the end of phase one is designing the new room, the life you want to live. But to do that, you can design it, right? So you envision it, you visualize it. This is how I want to wake up. This is who I want to surround myself with. This is the type of work I want to do. I want to live in the mountains or the beach. I want to, go on date night twice a month. I want a housekeeper to come once a month. I want to go see sunset every weekend with my kids, like whatever it is, day by day, and designing it down to the hour of your day, you start to think about that and write it out and start to move towards that. Because then everything else that you do is going to have that. It's like putting that up on the wall in front of you and thinking, does this pass that filter? Does this pass that filter to move towards the life that I want to live? And that's the end of phase one, once you design it. So now you have it in mind. Now you need to wreck it. And how do you wreck it? Well, now you have to disrupt your cycles and you have to dismantle your role altogether, whatever role you've assumed in your life, whatever mask or room that you want to wreck. And I do tell people going through the program to try and focus on one room, like the main primary room that you operate from, the main identity you operate from, the silent one, the perfectionist, the overachiever, the withdrawer. There's 9 Enneagram personality types,
Hmm.
and everybody falls into one of them, the loyalist. And this is all described in the program. So when you dismantle that role, after you do that, then we take you through a series of exercises to reclaim your powers.
Mm.
And those are the powers that you gave away when you started building this room. And
Ooh.
having that map that you did in part one of this is how the room was built, you see those moments clearly. That's where I gave away that power. That's where I gave away that power. That's how that happened. And you reclaim it. You reclaim the right to be who you are, not who
Yeah.
you think you should be. So that's wrecking it. And then after wrecking it, then we rock the new room from a place of alignment and a place of internal power. And that power is like the internal lever, the ability to say yes or no to certain things that are aligned with you. So
Mm.
rebuilding a life with intention, activating your architect inside of you, and
Hmm.
then anchoring the new identity, which is a lot of habit stacking and time blocking. So
Hmm.
it's a lot of work. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I have somebody
Good.
going through the program now, and I keep having to nudge her, like, have you finished this yet? Have you finished this? Like, you got to do it. You got to do the work. And I think that she's likely a staller. There's people who are stallers. They keep putting it off. And there's people who are drifters that just let life happen to them.
Hmm.
And then
I know someone
there's
like that.
people that are renovators where they know that or where they're taking action on making a change, but it's on the wrong things. They're
Oh yeah.
changing the wallpaper, changing the furniture, but nothing changes because at their core, they're not working on their identity and who they
Hmm.
are. They have no awareness there. And the ultimate goal is to become what I call an activated architect.
Hmm.
Fully activated, you know how to renovate the room. I'm sorry, you know how to rebuild the room. You know how to wreck it. You're fully aware of who you are and the rooms that you have a tendency to go back into. You can recognize when you're getting pulled back in there, and you can
Yeah.
step right back out of it because you condition yourself with these practices of disrupting the cycles. A simple example would be, let's say you have someone cuts you off in traffic and you suffer from road rage,
What?
Does
especially
cussing count? No, I'm just kidding.
especially in California, right? You get cut off, and your kids, and your 4-year-old's next to you. You son of a mother, you start.
I learned that early from my parents. That son of, yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. I've never done that. No, I absolutely have done that. Let's say you want to replace that habit with something. So you have to recognize the trigger. The trigger is someone cutting you off. You recognize that that's the trigger. So now you have to replace the behavior that reaction with a new behavior. It can be anything. It can be splashing water on your face. It can be a deep breath. It can be slapping your wrist every time. Like anything to help you recognize the trigger and replace the behavior with a new behavior.
Now, don't you think recognizing the trigger helps lessen it? Because I totally connect to that. Because a lot of being sober as long as I've been through the 12 steps a bunch, and it's a lot.
Yeah,
There's some similarities, right? So it's
sure.
like we're really doing an inventory on your life and what the triggers are and like the patterns. And it's almost like when you do that, yes, it almost just like as soon as you recognize, at least for me, I would say like 80% of the fuel is gone from it. But
Yeah.
then you are left with, okay, now what? You know what I mean? Like, what is here? It's like I feel like I just took off all my skin and what am I doing? So you do have to have a plan. I like that. What are you
Something to
going to replace that
replace.
with really quickly so that you
Yeah.
don't kind of stall, settle for that can be kind of frightening, I guess, as you
Yeah.
get rid of it, but then you have something else that you do right away.
Yeah, it's a simple, an example for me would be, saying to my kids, it's going to be fine. It's a horrible
Yeah,
thing
it's
to
going to
say
be
to a
okay.
parent.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like they're not telling you something. You want to say that, and it becomes habitual. And my parents say it to me. But instead of saying it's going to be fine, I had to replace that. And with the help of my wife, of course, recommending this, with
Okay.
saying, I'm sorry that happened to you.
Mm,
So now that's not something that came natural to me. I
Yeah.
practiced it again and again and again. This happened today. I was dealing with this. I'm really sorry that happened to you.
hmm
Just that
That's a very
acknowledgement.
compassionate way to connecting way. Yeah.
Yeah. So that, and that took practice.
Yeah.
It wasn't my first inclination was you're going to be fine. It's no big deal,
Yeah. It's
right?
okay. It's no big.
Which
Yeah.
is
Kind
it
of. Yeah.
invalidates it.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
invalidates it. It wasn't the right response.
Yeah.
So learning to recognize when I was about to say that and then replace it with that behavior,
Yeah.
Yes.
is
I'm curious, Jody, and I know I knew this was going to happen. Like this was going to be such a good conversation with you that we're
Hmm.
already like getting close to our time.
And yeah.
And I know a bit about your story because of coaching, or being, under your coaching.
sure.
But I would love it. I mean, I know it's a, very in depth, and I love your story. Do you want to share any part of how, like, so what brought you here to this, to wanting to do Wreck the Room? Like, how did that become a passion for you?
That's a good question. Someone asked me this earlier today, and I had to pause as well. Um, it took me a long time to recognize that I was living the life of my dreams. Like I just did it and didn't recognize it
Yeah.
along the way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I had many moments along the way where I had some breakdowns
Hmm.
that I almost wrecked the whole thing.
Mm,
So, when I first set out to coach musicians,
mhm,
it came from a similar place. Like musicians are asking for my help. I can't place all their songs in projects, but I
Hmm.
can teach them to do what I know how to do so they can do
mhm,
it themselves. Right. So it's the same thing, like just on a bigger scale.
mhm,
People need help.
mhm.
Hmm.
And there are conventional ways to go about seeking that help, traditional therapy and ayahuasca and other
Yeah.
methods,
So
right?
there's
There's
some new ways.
some
Yeah.
new ways. There's all kinds of methods for seeking help. So I wanted to create a method based on what's worked for me.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it was born from. Yeah.
That's a fantastic. I love that.
Yeah, that is really cool. Yeah, I mean, I love so much of it. It's been just so fun getting to know you too over the last, I think I've been in Sync Titan, it'll be 2 years this summer. And so I've been able to slowly hear more about your story. And I think this has been evolving in the last couple of years, I think,
For
right?
sure. Yeah, I wasn't
Yeah.
sharing this stuff before. I mean,
No.
the
So
framing was very different.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it's been very cool to like kind of be a part of it, but not and hear about it as you go along a little bit as it is unfolded. Um, and because I always go back to like for me, if I were to apply this to me,
Yeah.
like doing it in a group with other people, is that something that you do? Because I love doing stuff with groups because when you hear
Yeah.
other people, it makes it so much easier to recognize. Like I might not recognize my room because we have really, really strong defenses as human beings to keep
Yeah.
ourselves in those rooms.
Yes.
So that's why, like, listening to somebody else, I'm like, oh yeah, I do that too. But I might not be able to tell you that I do that. So,
Right.
so do you do it like in a group or?
I will absolutely be doing a group coaching program. It'll be a group cohort. I don't know how many people would need to be in that group. I would say at
Yeah,
least six, if not 10.
yeah.
But I think if it gets too big, it's going to be a little hard for sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
It's also some of it's very personal, so some people may not want to share, but I
Yeah.
suppose to your point, they can kick back and listen to other people and learn from their stories and how they'll apply it to themselves.
Yeah.
So yeah, a group cohort's definitely something I plan on doing at some point. Right now, it's the do-it-yourself option
Yeah.
or the one-on-one with me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd like to do a group cohort probably in the fall.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
so exciting. I'm glad I asked that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Well,
Um,
do you have
yeah.
any other
Oh, sorry.
questions for Chelsea? Would you have a question? Go ahead.
Well, no, I just kind of wanted to end on a I guess a career question for you.
Yeah.
You are living like your dream life. Like you're,
I know.
and I mean, and that doesn't mean, I mean, again, just like success, that means different things to different people.
Yeah.
But what does that look like for you? Like what is
Great
your day
question.
involved? What is your I don't know. What do you find fun about it?
I get to wake up every day and ask myself, what do I want to work on today?
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
That's
that was the dream.
fantastic.
My plan was always I wanted to retire by the time I was 40. I didn't quite do that. I'm 46
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I'm not retired. I don't think I'll ever actually retire because I
Yeah. Me
enjoy
either.
working.
I
Me
can't retire.
too.
I don't ever.
Yeah.
But I
But
get the sentiment.
I mean, look, the fact that you girls are sitting down and writing a screenplay is amazing. I know how fulfilling that can be, that
Yeah.
creative process. I went through it with a buddy we wrote something for like 4 years and we didn't get anywhere with it,
Yeah.
but it was such a fun process.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I will be sad if nothing happens with our show just because I'm like really want to see it out
I
there. I'm like, I
know.
want to watch this
Yeah.
show.
It
But I
was,
get that where it's like it's
yeah.
so satisfying in the moment too. It's just like,
Well,
okay, worth it.
the solution to that is making it yourself. And that
That's
was,
what we keep hearing.
We've
yeah,
heard
that
that
was the thing.
we've met with some, we've had, I've experienced in my life when things are supposed to happen. I mean, this isn't just me. I'm just saying, I'm sure other people do this too. When things are supposed to happen, they align up. So actually, when I'm in alignment, other stuff lines up is kind of what happens too, right?
Yeah.
And with this, we've had a lot of really cool alignment. And so it's been like, okay, put on your seatbelt, Chelsea. This is going somewhere. It's like, and
Yeah.
when we came up to PMC, which was so fun, I loved it. And I'm so excited to go back again. We met with somebody that is a showrunner that Chelsea worked with. And I don't know if we've said his name on this, so I won't say his name, but
Yeah, just in case. I don't know.
he we sat with him. He got back to us. He
It was more
yeah,
as a mentor, not as somebody that's going
Yeah.
to produce it. Just somebody
yeah.
that
Yeah,
I
but a
trusted to go
relationship.
to with it.
But
Yeah.
busy guy, I mean, he was very responsive, and
Yeah.
we asked if we could meet with him and just talk about our idea and what we're working on. And he's like, great. And
Yeah.
so we sat down. And he sat with us for like 2 hours, and he gave us so much direction. And he like
Wow.
basically has said that this is a great idea. And then he said, these are the avenues you can go. And he gave us like I think 3 different avenues. And now we're doing the pit, we're working on the pilot and the pitch that you have to have. Everyone has to have a certain formula for the pitch.
Sure.
And but one of them was, if we can't get you, if it doesn't get picked up, you can raise money and do it this way. And so we're like, okay, we're thinking about that, but it's definitely been, we've been pushing on a door. This is kind of what I've learned in my life. If you push on a door and the door really opens quickly, okay, go. This is the direction. If it doesn't, you go, okay, let's like hang back a little bit and
Reevaluate.
and maybe it's not supposed to be that way, and you let it go and you go, you kind of move to the next door, but so
Absolutely.
far this has been like going
Well,
really
and
well.
the film that because you produced or co-produced
Yeah.
a film, right?
Ethan
Jody
Co-produced,
Bloom,
yeah.
right?
co-produced.
Yeah.
How did that all come about?
Yeah.
I mean, especially with you being focused, majority in music. I think that's
Yeah.
so awesome. Like the crossover and the places we go.
And I think you
Yeah.
were also part of the music supervision in that too.
Yeah, well, and that's how it came about. I mean, I'd worked with Herschel, the director, not the writer, but the director before, many years ago, probably about 8 years ago, if not more, on a film called Cavemen. Um, I was a music coordinator on that, and Greg Sill was the music supervisor. And Herschel and I met over in Sherman Oaks at the Galleria for lunch one day, and turns out he went to the same alma mater as me for Florida State University. And then he moved back west. I'm sorry, back east. I'm tired. Is it Friday? It is Friday.
It is
It
Yeah,
is
I can
Friday.
Friday,
tell.
and
I can
you
And
tell.
it's afternoon, so
Yeah. So
yes.
he moved back to Florida, and we stayed in touch. And then I was in Japan and with my family, and he sent out an email blast to his all contacts about the film. And it was more of a crowdfunding blast, like a GoFundMe.
yeah.
And I said, Herschel, could you send me the script? And he sent me the script, and then I spent a couple weeks with it um, because I didn't read it till I got home. I remember reading it on my patio. I read it in one sitting.
Mm.
It was an amazing script.
Mm.
Had all the feels in it. I laughed, I cried. Immediately, I hung up and I called Michael, my partner at Elite Music Coaching.
Yeah.
I said, I need to send you a script. You need to read this. I have an idea. And the idea was, why don't we consider investing in this and coming on as producers? And that way we can get like clip rights and be able to teach using this film to show
Yeah.
some really deep insights that you really can't get anywhere else
Yeah.
to our students.
Yeah.
Because even as a music supervisor, when you're for hire as a contractor, it's someone else's property.
Yeah.
So in
True.
this case, it's not technically, we don't own the property, but we have points on it, right? We're producers on it and we're
Mhm.
investors on it. So part of the deal, part of our deal terms was the ability to do that. It also allowed me to put my son forth as an actor to be in the film.
Yeah.
It
Nice.
served multiple purposes. He had to audition, of course, like everybody,
Sure.
but he ended up getting the role as the bully in the film, Mason the
Oh,
bully.
Yes.
So,
okay.
which makes sense. He always gets cast as a bully because he's a very, very confident kid. Like he can
Mhm.
sell ice to Eskimos,
Okay.
even if
That's
it's not
awesome.
made of ice. Uh, yeah, so he got the role as the bully, and we flew to Miami twice for some days of filming. I was able to be there on set for 2 weeks at a time, so like a 4 week period total. So I learned a lot. I was a producer on this, but it was my first project, which means I was totally absorbing everything.
Yeah.
I had never, booked any set locations before or dealt with craft services or anything like that. I was sitting back and learning.
Yeah.
So my main role was everything to do with the music, and that's how it came to be. It was,
Yeah.
an investment. I'll music supervise, um, and I'll help out. Here's what I'd like in return,
That's
right? So sometimes it's just leveraging what you do
yeah.
to open up a new door. And I will say that I've always thought about producing. I wanted to make movies when I was younger. I applied to film school and I didn't
Okay.
get into film school, so I ended up going to TV, majoring in TV production, which brought
Nice.
me into news and ultimately where I am today. But it is bringing it full circle to
Yes.
now I get to make movies.
So
Yes.
cool.
So yeah, it's like, you know, um, that manifestation, the visualization, and keeping true and aligned, and just the things have a way of working out when you work from that place.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a calling kind of too. I feel like when you have a calling for something, it just doesn't go away.
Hmm.
You
That's
know,
right.
it keeps calling at you. And you're like, okay, I don't know how long I've been like, I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to
Yeah.
hear that yet, and then it's like, but then when it comes together, you're like, oh my God, yes, I've been thinking about that for 25 years. Okay, or
Yeah.
I tried that
Yeah.
before and it didn't work. It's kind of how Chelsea and I have felt about this project. So it's been cool.
Yeah.
So
This project and yeah.
and where is, I know you guys have been talking about Ethan Bloom and it was going
Yeah.
on, in the festivals and stuff. Where is it now? Is it something that we can
It's in
see?
Delray. Right now it's in Delray. This weekend it's back in
Okay.
Delray, South Florida. Leaves of
Okay.
Delray, big community down there, and we'll see where it goes from there. I mean, our hope is it goes to New York. It will be out in LA at some point. It'll be at the
Oh,
Lumleys out here, so I'll be sure to let you know.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
close. I'll come out
Nice.
and come see it. I'd love to. Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
so good.
Is this eventually going to be something for streaming or something that people can watch?
I would be
Um,
shocked if it doesn't get picked up.
I
good.
know.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
such a good film,
It
and
will
there's
get
so
picked
much
up.
garbage that gets picked up.
that's the
Yeah.
thing. Oh my God, Christy and I talk about that all the time, where we're just like, there's so much garbage or stuff that's been redone, or hey, let's look at it from a different point of view. Okay, we know this story.
Yeah, the
Give us
storyline's
something
the same.
new.
Yeah. No, I know you're very excited about this, Jody, and I've seen clips. I've watched the behind the scenes a little bit of it, so I'm excited. Like I really do hope
Yeah,
it gets streamed and that all the
Thank you.
contracts are good. Because it's
it
all
will.
contracts too, and you guys all have good contracts. And
Yeah.
Yes,
It's getting
also that.
standing ovations everywhere it's airing.
oh my
That's
gosh,
And you know
yeah,
what, for beyond it being a project I'm a part of,
yeah,
it says something about the state of the film industry. When
yeah.
an indie film like this that gets made for not a ton of money,
Mhm.
yeah,
when it's getting standing ovations from crowds at theaters, and it's not a big blockbuster superhero movie,
Yeah.
yeah,
that says something. It says something that people are craving films like this. They're
Yes.
craving old, The Breakfast Club, and they're craving 16 Candles and those types of movies. So I hope that more of them get made and
Yeah.
that, theaters start bringing them back and the industry can support that.
I,
yes,
Yeah.
yes, I'm so
yes,
with you on that. I feel the exact same way.
Yeah.
And that's
yes,
kind of that's with our TV series.
yeah,
That's the
That's why we're
lane.
so passionate about being involved in the project even after it gets picked up.
Yeah.
After it gets to
oh
do
yeah.
something, because that's really important to us,
To make sure the tone
the
of it
tone,
stays
the
where it is,
feel.
because it could be
Yeah.
really easy to go, well, we can make more money if it's, we get a little bit more of this negative drama. Well, we don't
Yeah.
want that.
Like that's not
That's
not what
not
we're
our
going for.
deal.
Yeah.
No, no,
It's not
no.
a hallmarky by
Well,
any means.
that's where you have that option to make it yourself. So if
Yes,
you go down
Yeah.
that, it's like you always want to be, what do they say? You always want to be the buyer, right? You always want to be the buyer, like willing to walk away, basically.
Yeah.
You're always
True.
okay walking away from any deal, knowing that it's fine. It's not aligned. We'll just go make it ourselves.
right.
Yeah.
Which is where that alignment identity is really important, and it comes into this kind of work, because I think you can get. And I think there's anything. I think when people can want something so badly, I call it the wannas, like I have to be
Yeah.
careful of the wannas. Because when you want something so bad that you're willing to, like, oh, not listen to that identity or that alignment to get it, it's always a mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, it's always a
It
mistake.
can be.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jody, this has been so much fun. I'm so
Yeah.
glad
I've
that
had
you
a
came
good
on.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Yes.
Thank
you.
you.
And
Yeah.
we'll definitely put some links for you on
Yeah.
this. So we are on YouTube, and we're also on all the streaming platforms for podcasts.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So if people want to find you, they can. So you have many different hats. If you're interested in sync and you want to do any of your musician and you're listening, I've given your information away to a few of people I know that are wanting
Okay.
to learn about the business part, because you guys do such a good job on the business part of sync.
Yes.
And all of
Sync
it. I
Placement
just love this
Academy. I'm just
program.
throng that out there. It's amazing.
Yes, Sync
Well,
Titan
you
Academy.
guys have you should have those links. You have those links that you can share. So you are Sync
Yeah.
Titan ambassadors.
Oh, this is
Yes.
true. Okay.
Remember?
Yes, I
Yeah.
The
did. I
ambassadors.
recently shared one to a producer, my vocal coach.
Smart.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and then also for elite music coaching, jodyfriedman.com. I even put the ethanbloomfilm.com on there if people want to look into that, so you can
Yeah.
see when it's coming to your area. But Chelsea, did you want to say anything else? Another thank you to Jody.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Jody. And this has been great. We'd love to have you on at a future episode, maybe after some things happen with Wreck the Room and Ethan
Yeah.
Bloom, and, kind of just an update and
Happy
get into
to.
more of your story, because it's really inspiring.
It's
So
my
yeah,
pleasure.
we would love that.
There's a new thing that I built 2 days ago.
Oh,
You wouldn't
yeah.
have this link, but I'm pretty excited about it because I think it could prove helpful for certain people. Maybe not everybody, but I think everybody could use this because it certainly helped me. Um, in the pursuit when you're an entrepreneur or a high achiever, just in life, when you're trying to live your life and design that dream life, whatever that might mean for you, there's a question mark. And that question mark is, well, what do I need to earn to live that life?
Oh, good question. Yeah.
What's the number? What's the exact number that I need to make to live that life? So I designed a calculator that will
Oh,
you enter in all the expenses that you would need to live that dream life monthly. What would it cost to, again, you want to live by the beach? in Newport or in Louisiana or in South Carolina, like in a 3-bedroom house or a 5-bedroom house, or you want a castle in Scotland, like what is it? What would it
Yes.
cost? Write it down, enter it into the calculator.
It's called the
Calculate
dream
all.
calculator. I love it.
It's called the Dream Life Calculator.
Cool.
And it's called the Wreck the Room number. Wreck the Room number. So
Oh,
calculate it, enter in all your expenses, set your tax rate, hit the number. It'll tell you the exact number that you need to earn, the gross number, and also the take home, the net number. So you'll have the number, and once you have the number, then you start working towards that number. And that often starts with who you are, not
Yes.
and how you think, not what you need to do.
yeah.
So it all ultimately leads back, of course, to Wreck the Room, but it's called number.wrecktheroom.com.
Number.wrecktheroom.com.
No.
Sick.
Ooh,
That is
I'm excited
awesome.
about that.
Yeah.
I believe this 100% is what you focus on is what you get.
Absolutely.
So like
Yes.
if you, for me, and for many people I know, when you set a goal like that might seem very far away, there's going to be all this resistance that can show up to tell you all these, we talk about the critics in
Yeah,
here
we talk
on
about
the
that a
show
lot.
all the time. All the critics that are going to try to take you back into those old rooms. But
Mhm.
if you have that focus, it might not happen in a month or 2 months. But for me, it's happened over time that when you set that goal,
Yeah.
that you're here. I would not be living in San Diego. I'm from Phoenix. I'm from a not very nice area of Phoenix. I don't care about going back to
It's
Phoenix.
a little less costly in Phoenix.
Yeah, little, right? And
Yeah.
so I believe in a lot of this. I have a lot of experience that shows like, yes, I am so excited. I want to do your calculator and put it all in for our
You
show.
do.
And like how much I'm like, because I'm like, Chelsea, we're going to need to get a place in LA for part-time.
Write it in. So that's just it. Like you will be shocked when you put in like, I want to go first class and I want to go on this many vacations and I want a villa and all this stuff. And you price it out and you enter it in, you will be shocked. You're going to think the number is much higher than it is.
Yes, right.
But you're saying you'll be shocked that it's probably not going to be as bad as you think, or not.
Correct.
We'll use a
Correct.
positive word. It's going to be a little bit lower.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
reachable, but our
It is.
brains will tell us it's not
Yeah.
because, or some people, like myself, will have the brain that says automatically, oh, I can't do that.
Yeah, I
Well,
need 10 million. I need 20 million a year or something like,
Yeah.
no, you don't.
You don't. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. That's really cool that you
know.
came up with that you designed that. I think that's been one of the fun, like most fun things, like learning about you and getting to know you is just I appreciate it so much because my brain goes to different things. Like there's just a lot of things and I let things go from, okay, you know what? This is going to lead into so I love that.
Thank
like
you.
I can appreciate that so
I hope it
much.
helps.
Yes. So this has been so good. Thank you again, Jody. And for our listeners, we're so bad about remembering to say this. So like us, subscribe, follow us on Instagram, reach out. There's topics you guys want to hear about.
Let
any
us
questions
know.
for Jody, like reach out, find, hit up his links. And yeah, so thank you again, Jody. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.
Yes. All
Thanks
right.
for having me.
Thanks, you guys.
Good to see you guys.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Jody. All right. Bye, guys.
Thanks so much for listening to The Creative Download. Hosted and produced by Christy Bruneau and Chelsea Lee. Edited by Chelsea Lee.